Welcome to the series where we play through every Harry Potter game, chapter by chapter. This book chapter is called The Midnight Duel, but as the movie and most of these games cut Draco challenging Harry to the titular duel, a better name for this episode might be Mr. Longbottom's Wild Ride. We will first look at game events happening before the flying lesson, which is something all these games include. Game Boy Color gives Harry a list of classes to attend. You can go to these in any order you choose, though be careful about History of Magic. Professor Binns brings up that he gave a Cersei wizard card to Harry's father. Harry makes the connection to the Cloaked Man offering to trade a Cersei card for a Bezoar back in Diagon Alley. Binns allows Harry to leave Hogwarts and go to Diagon Alley to meet up with the Cellar. He claims that half-term begins today, even though it isn't even Halloween yet. The player has no option to cancel this sudden trip, as Hagrid immediately whisks Harry away when he leaves the classroom. In Diagon Alley, the Cellar agrees to sell Harry the Cersei card for 10 sickles if Harry can fetch it from his Gringotts vault. Harry goes back into the vermin-infested tunnels and encounters another giant rat in the vault. He beats the rat, gets the card, and returns to Hogwarts, where Binns confirms the card indeed was the same one owned by James Potter. Apparently, the wiki considers this entire escapade canon, but the Flipendo challenge not. Her biology class sees Professor Sprout assign students to identify and gather certain herbs around the grounds. 3 different herbs in this game are aconite, monkshood, and wolfsbane, which is an embarrassing mistake, as they are different names for the same plant. Snape asked the difference between them as a trick question.
As for monkshood and wolfbane, they are the same plant, which also goes by the name of aconite.
Speaking of Snape, after Harry returns with the herbs, Professor Sprout asks Harry to see the potions master after class, who gives him 2 brewing recipes that make use of the ingredient plants he discovered in herbology. Brewing potions in this game doesn't feel worth it for all of the time and effort gathering the ingredients around Hogwarts' dangerous grounds is, because you can just buy potions. On the way to defense against the dark arts, Peeves bestows Harry with the Curse of the Bogies, which constantly damages him from just walking. Professor Quirrell tells him to find a book with the counter curse in the library. Harry discovers the book has gone missing, and eventually finds Peeves has hidden it, guarded by a troll, in the secret Muggle room off the Muggle-Sleaze classroom. Harry is cured, and returns for Quirrell's class to end. Another class Harry doesn't actually get to attend is Transfiguration. Professor McGonagall immediately sends Harry to capture a candlestick, which had mutated into a flaming purple rabbit from a spell gone wrong. This is the simplest class, as the rabbit is found just to the left outside the front doors, and is easily subdued in a battle where it doesn't fight back hard at all. Then Harry returns to McGonagall and Transfiguration class is over. There is a funny moment where Harry asks Dumbledore if he's seen a purple rabbit, who answers, "No, but I'd certainly like to see one." The last class apart from Broom Flight is Charms, where Harry must mimic Professor Flitwick's movements to learn Wingardium Leviosa, except it's an infuriatingly long sequence that changes every time you fail. Then you learn the spell, which can of course be used in combat like every other spell in this game. Before the flying lesson in the 2003 game, Harry attends a defense against the dark arts to learn the spell Loomis. Here Quirrell attempts to not show favoritism to Harry for once, by asking Neville to enter the Loomis challenge first.
Potter, your turn.
Harry actually doesn't learn Loomis yet. He must find the spellbook halfway through the challenge, with the first part being a bunch of Flipendo stuff. When he does gain the spellbook, he can use Loomis to light up dark areas and reveal hidden dangers and passages. He can also sign-do it to defend himself against more traditionally malicious Hogwarts ghosts. Finally, casting Loomis on a gargoyle causes platforms of light to appear that Harry can then climb on. A flaw in the game is that there is no jump button. Harry automatically jumps when reaching a ledge. This makes platforming frustrating. There are also challenge shields here rather than challenge stars, but I think I didn't collect them out, as Quirrell only gave me a B. Now, on to the flying lesson itself. Kind of. The PS1 and PC versions both split the flying lesson into two separate classes. The PS1 version is weird about flying class. Hedwig delivers Harry a broom after being rescued. Not the Nimbus 2000 or any brand, just a generic broomstick. Apparently here students must bring their own brooms to be able to fly them. Ron doesn't have one, so Harry must go to flying class without him. The PC version skips this pointless change and has Harry just show up to class and be supplied a broom by Madam Hoops, like in every other version of Harry Potter. Both PC and PS1 versions then have Harry fly through rings in the courtyard, and class ends without incident. After flying class in the PC version, Harry meets Hermione before Charms class, who teaches Harry the Alohomora spell.
Harry, I'm sure Professor Flitwick would give you 5 house points for that charm.
She's a real know-it-all, and a teacher's pet.
No, I am not.
In the PlayStation version, Hermione is simply insulted, and Harry must jump on floating tables in a race against time to get to Charms class before he's late. In both these versions, Flitwick teaches Wingardium Leviosa prematurely again, and the PlayStation version forces Harry to play yet another annoying minigame to learn the spell.
Not good.
To practice the levitation charm in the computer game, Harry goes to another spell challenge, where PS1 Harry only levitates a single object in the next room before leaving. In both versions after class, Hedwig delivers Harry a letter. In PC, Hermione reminds Harry to get to her biology class. In PlayStation, Hagrid invites Harry to tea with
Something important to tell you.
PC Harry is ambushed and trapped by Peeves, and Flipendo's the poltergeist until he lets him go. Going downstairs, Harry meets Fred and George again, who ask for 25 beans in exchange for a wizard card. The twins will continue to take secret passages to sell cards to Harry throughout the game. He also meets Neville, who shows Harry his new Amimbrow.
It tells you if there's something you've forgotten to do.
PS1 Harry simply walks downstairs to leave the castle, and encounters Malfoy again. Harry is now able to levitate the house point hourglasses that have been laying on the ground, putting them back on their pedestals to unlock the door. I wish there was more of this in the PS1 game. More interesting ways of controlling your progress through this castle full of arbitrarily locked and unlocked doors. After unlocking the door, Malfoy starts a boss battle with Harry, throwing exploding wizard Christmas crackers at Harry, who must throw them back before they explode. Harry doesn't need to try and leave in the PC version. Draco immediately confronts him with the crackers there. The fight in the PlayStation version is much longer though, as Draco doesn't flee after being hit with a handful of wizard crackers, but eventually kills Crabbe and then Goyle, who also throw crackers. While Malfoy himself starts throwing
Super wizard crackers,
which are more damaging to Harry and can't be thrown back. Luckily, crackers often explode into chocolate frogs in this version, allowing Harry to regain health throughout this much harder fight. With Malfoy defeated, Harry exits the castle, in both versions meeting Hagrid, who says he'll have Harry over for tea after his herbology class. PS1 Harry must race against time to class again, while PC Harry takes a leisurely stroll through Professor Sprout's garden on the way to the greenhouse where she's teaching. Several of these games often make simply heading to classes an unrealistic and dangerous challenge. Both versions have Professor Sprout teach Harry the Incendio spell. PS1 Harry must suffer through an even worse minigame after he learns the spell. Every time he casts Incendio, he must press 5 buttons within a time limit. If you don't press a button at exactly the point where it overlaps the circle, with both disorientingly spinning around, you go back 2 presses. PC Harry goes on a journey throughout the greenhouses in the Incendio chapter, and must simply click to cast a spell here, after of course tracing the shape. After suffering through casting Incendio once after learning it, it's time for PS1 Harry to meet PS1 Hagrid for tea. You can also return to Madam Hoots for optional Quidditch Seeker training. Harry's not on the team yet, so Madam Hoots makes no mention of Harry's status or reason for attending. I guess it makes sense that formal training is offered to those who seek to be a Seeker or another position, as players have to start somewhere. Canonically, Harry himself can't have practiced under Hoots this early, but it's just an option for the player. Harry passes a Ravenclaw boy distraught that his kitten fell down a well on the way to Hagrid's. He meets Ron next to a wandering Puffskein, and he reminisces about more pet-related trauma.
I used to have a Puffskein, but Fred and George used it for bludger practice.
Well, that's dark. This incident was first mentioned as commentary between Ron and Harry in the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them spin-off book. Fred and George are characters that as you grow up you realize were pretty immoral people. They were on the side of good, but sold irresponsible and dangerous items to children, and their pranks were often harmful and bullying. The vast majority of bullying is described as being against Harry, the main character, so you don't think about what other people may be doing. Harry arrives at Hagrid's hut, and Hagrid asks him to get some fire seeds from a plant beyond the Gargoyle Gate. At the Gargoyle Gate, a mystery villain brings one of the winged boars to life to attack Harry. Harry must subdue the stone figure in yet another boss fight, and use
Wingardium Leviosa!
to put it back in its place. Past the gate, Harry encounters many more Puffskeins, and must figure out how they can help him progress. To get to the fire seed plant, Harry then needs to jump over a lava floor using crumbling platforms. The lava is just solid ground that hurts him, thankfully, as this game uses auto jump like the 2003 version. Though even without having to worry about falling to his doom, auto jumping controls better here. Harry reaches the fire seed plant and has to use stupid Incendio on it. I don't know why the fire spell would affect a plant that naturally burns. Harry gets the seeds and has to run the gauntlet all the way back to Hagrid. The groundskeeper invites Harry in and reveals the purpose of the fire seeds. To hatch a dragon egg he has acquired from the man in the Hogshead pub. Norbert the baby dragon hatches, and Hagrid rewards Harry with Kenilworthy Wisp's Quidditch through the ages. Everything relating to Norbert happens late in the book, within a single chapter. I think there are actually advantages of introducing Norbert early. It gives the player more reason to care about the subplot, and fits in more of the writing style of the later books, which introduce other pets of Hagrid earlier, before playing important roles in the story later. Norbert's does kind of hurt the pacing later in the book. while the main plot about the titular lock is well underway, we have Norbert be born and grow up in a series of months with nothing else much happening. I think it's actually an improvement to have Norbert hatch earlier, though I don't think it should be this early. Now we're finally ready to see the flying lesson in all sorts of games. In LEGO Harry Potter Mobile and the 2003 game, Madam Hoots teaches Harry the basics of flying a broomstick. LEGO Harry can't fly up and down an owl and has to use lamps. While staying close to the ground makes sense for a beginner, I doubt this game is going to ever give the opportunity to fly up. HPO3 shackles Harry to no training wheels, flying through hoops all around the castle rather than in a confined courtyard under supervision. After Harry's flight in these two games, Neville goes on a wild ride of his own, losing control and falling off, breaking his wrist. On Game Boy Color, the accident happens like in canon. Neville takes off before anyone else does. On Game Boy Advance, Harry arrives late to an already injured Neville. On PS1 and PC, Harry, after returning from the Incendio Challenge or Hagrid, encounters a seemingly uninjured Neville telling Harry that Malfoy has stolen his Remembrow. Canonically, and in the other games, Malfoy finds the Remembrow on the ground after Neville has already left with Hoots for the infirmary. On PC, Hagrid tells Harry that
You're gonna be late for your broomstick training.
But there is no sign that Hoots was ever present. On PS1, there is no mention of a class at all, but no explanation is given as to why broomsticks are involved. Now Harry must chase Malfoy on brooms. In the mobile LEGO, PlayStation, and PC games, Harry must ram Draco. In the GBA version, he must go through hoops behind Draco and then snatch the Remembrow. In the GBC and 2003 versions, he just follows Draco for a while until an anticlimax happens. I don't know if it's actually possible to catch Draco in these versions, but if I failed, it's nice to not have to try again. Normally some of these games don't show such mercy. In the book, the Game Boy versions and 2003 version, Malfoy challenges Harry to a duel at midnight in the trophy room. In all versions, Professor McGonagall recognizes Harry's talent in recovering the Remembrow, which earns him a spot on the Gryffindor Quidditch team. In HPO3, Harry and Ron visit Hagrid later that afternoon, and have tea with him as seen at the end of Chapter 8 in the book, discovering the news about the Gringotts break-in. Harry also looks in Hagrid's garden for Wiggenweld potion ingredients, finding asphodel, rather than dittany like in the GBA version. That night, Harry and Ron leave for the midnight duel. Hermione tries to stop them from leaving and breaking curfew, but all three end up being locked out when the fat lady leaves her portrait frame. In the book and GBC version, Neville, who is locked outside too, also joins them. In the GBA version, Harry tricks Hermione earlier that evening into teaching him Alohomora, promising he won't use it to sneak around at night. Then he leaves to face Draco alone. He must avoid getting caught on the way to the trophy room. In HPO3, there is nobody to sneak past, even though the concept was introduced with Percy. In Game Boy Color, the four arrive at the trophy room to find Draco is a no-show, and has tipped off Filch that Harry will be there. On the way out, a conversation between Professor Snape and Quirrell is witnessed, about a way to get to the Philosopher's Stone. In the book, Peeves is encountered instead, but Quirrell being here allows for a funny joke when they hide in another room for folks to pass them. They run away from the three heads of the giant dog, and back to bed as the fat lady has returned to her portrait. In Game Boy Advance and HPO3, significant changes are made from the book. Draco actually shows up, and reveals it's a setup, either taking Harry down with a single leg locker jinx, or tricking the trio into falling down a trap door. Snape replaces Filch in these variations. In GBA, Harry sees the giant dog before entering the trophy room, but never gets a good look. Then after Draco's jinx wears off, he sneaks past Snape and then everyone else again in reverse order back up to the common room. The Warthog version has a trapdoor drop into a locked room on the 3rd floor, and here even Hermione can't cast Alohomora, so Harry has to crouch through a convenient passage to the library to get an Alohomora spellbook. There are some hostile ghosts in the library, but surprisingly nobody you have to sneak past on the way back either. After you return with the spell to unlock the door out, you go through a sequence of other doors, with the pursuing Snape always taking the long one. They find the dog again, and Snape is last seen entering that same door after they've all left. LEGO Harry Potter Mobile's next level, the Trophy Room, has Harry and Ron go there for a different reason. Rather than challenged to a duel, after being chosen for the Quidditch team, Harry discovers his father had won a Quidditch trophy in his youth. Strangely going at night, they run into Filch and have to escape the room without being seen. If caught, you are moved to the beginning, but lose no progress in the obstacles you have to transfigure or levitate. This is just a single escape room level. There are no further encounters in this version. With that, we are finally done with Chapter 9. Chronologically so far, it is only the 2nd week of school, but Chapter 10 jumps forward in time, finishing September and October. In-universe things will be less packed together for Harry, but the next video still will be for us.